All right, let's just dive right in. If you've ever heard the word Git and maybe felt a little bit of that, tech anxiety kick in, you are in exactly the right spot. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this incredibly powerful tool, starting from square one. Think of this as the very first day of your new journey. I mean, seriously, just think about it. You're writing something, designing a logo, maybe coding a project. You make a change, then another, and suddenly you realize, oh no, I need to go back to how things were 2 hours ago. What if you actually could? Well, that's Git. In a nutshell, it's a time machine for literally any kind of file on your computer.
Now, before we go any further, let's get one thing straight, because it trips everyone up at first. Git is not GitHub. Think of it like this. Git is the engine. It's the actual time machine software that lives right there on your computer. GitHub, on the other hand, that's the cloud. It's a website, a social network where you can store your projects and share them with the world. Today, we're focusing on Git, the engine itself.
So, to really get our heads around how this time machine works, we're going to use a really simple analogy that just makes everything click. A photo album. Every time you save your work with Git, you're not just saving a file, you're taking a full snapshot of your entire project at that exact moment and placing it carefully into an album. This whole process breaks down into 3 really distinct states. First, there's the working directory. That's you, just snapping pictures. Second, you've got the staging area. This is where you select which photos you actually want to keep. And third, the repository. That's where you print those selected photos into your permanent album. Let's take a quick look at each one.
So, the working directory. This is your creative space. It's just the project folder on your computer. You're adding files, deleting them, editing things. It's messy. It's active, and nothing you do here is permanent yet. You're just taking the photos, seeing what looks good.
And this is where Git gets really clever. Before you save anything for good, Git gives you this little pit stop, this intermediate zone called the staging area. It's kind of like laying all your photos out on a table and choosing only the best ones, the most important changes that you want to include in that final album. It's your quality control step. And finally, the repository. Once you picked out your best shots in the staging area, you commit them. This is the moment you print the album. You take that perfect snapshot of all your selected changes and you save it forever in your project's history. And every single one of those saved snapshots is a point in time you can always return to.
Okay, so we've got the whole photo album idea down, right? Now let's connect it to the actual magic words, the Git commands that make this all happen. And don't worry, you only really need to know a handful to get started. It's easier than you think.
So the very first command you'll ever use on a new project is git init. Think of this as buying the filing cabinet, or with our other analogy, buying the empty photo album. You only do this one time, right at the very beginning, inside your project folder. You're basically just telling Git, hey, start watching this place for changes. Now, your new best friend, the command you're going to use all the time, is git status. Think of it as your project's radar. At any moment, you can just ask it, so, what's the situation? And it will tell you exactly which files have been changed, which ones are ready to be saved, everything. It's your guide. And this is a perfect example of what git status might show you. So here, we've changed a file called chapter1.txt. Git sees that change, and it flags it in red. It's telling us, hey, this file's been modified in your working directory. It's a photo we've taken, but we haven't decided if we want to put it in the album yet.
So, how do we select that photo? Simple, with the git add command. When you type git add and then the file name, you're telling Git, yep, I like this change. I want to include this one in my next big snapshot. You're officially moving it from your messy desk to that selection table, the staging area.
And what happens after you run git add? Well, let's check our radar again with git status, and look at that. The same file, chapter1.txt, is now green. Green is good. Git is telling us it's now staged, which means it's been selected and it's all ready to be printed into our permanent album.
And this is the final step in the loop, git commit. This command takes everything you've staged, all those green files, and saves them as one permanent snapshot in your history. That little M part is super important. It stands for message, and it's where you write a short description, like a caption for your photo. Wrote the first paragraph of chapter 1.
So, you started printing photos into your album. That's fantastic. But, a time machine is pretty useless if you can't actually look back in time, right? So let's see how you can browse through the history you've just started to create.
The command for this is git log. Think of it as flipping through your photo album, page by page. It shows you a list of every single commit, every snapshot you've ever made, starting with the most recent.
And for each one, you get a unique ID number, you see who made the change, when they made it, and most importantly, you see that message, the caption you wrote.
But what if you want to see the exact changes you've made since your last save before you even decide to stage them? For that, there is the incredibly powerful git diff command. It will show you line by line exactly what you've added and what you've removed from a file. It's like putting the new photo and the old one side by side to spot the differences.
Okay, so theory is great and all, but in the real world, things can get a little weird sometimes. So I want to cover a super common problem that trips up almost every single beginner. I call it the PowerShell Trap.
So imagine this. You run git diff, totally expecting to see your text changes, but instead you get this really cryptic message, binary files differ. And you're sitting there thinking, wait a minute, it's just a text file. What does binary even mean? This is a classic symptom of the trap.
So here's what's actually going on. On Windows computers, if you create a file using certain commands in the PowerShell terminal, it can sometimes save that file with a special kind of text formatting or encoding called UTF-16. Now, Git just has a really hard time reading this particular format, so it basically gives up and just calls it a binary file, even though it's still just text to you and me.
Luckily, the fix is so simple. All you have to do is open that file in any real text editor. Even the basic notepad that comes with Windows will work. Then you just go to Save As, and somewhere in that dialog box, you'll see an option for encoding. All you have to do is change it to UTF-8, which is the universal standard that Git understands perfectly.
And here's the final and absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle. After you resave that file as UTF-8, you have to then add and commit that fix. You're creating a new, clean baseline for Git. It's only after you've saved this corrected version into your history that git diff will be able to start showing you all your future text changes correctly.
And that's really it. You now get the core workflow, you know the key commands, and you even know how to troubleshoot a super common beginner problem. You've officially taken your first snapshot and placed it in your project's photo album. You've turned on your time machine. So the only question left is, what story is your history going to tell?